You're talking about Jews kicking them out of the synagogue?
No, so why don't you just do what they did then?
Who, me? Because I'm totally unconvinced of the messiahship of Jesus.
So that's what really. So you're saying what you're saying is all this was just.
This is one of the first things
that threw you off a bit.
Right.
What convinced you that he was not the Messiah? I mean, I know why. I know why I don't. I mean, for me, that's pretty clear. But
right.
what was it for you?
So, even before I noticed this, when I started getting deeper into the New Testament, I had read up to, from the beginning of Genesis up to halfway in the book of Numbers. That was my first real introduction to the Bible.
I couldn't really figure like why they call those names like numbers, but then I realized that if you call it by the Hebrew translation, it doesn't really work. Things.
right. That's you could say the matters or the topics.
Things. Right. Chapter 5, 4:1. Things? Yeah, things.
That's true. So,
well, I think what it means by devarim is like dibur, like words.
Yeah, but also translates as things.
Right. How many minutes are there? If it gets to 15...
The book of stuff.
9.
9? Okay. If it gets to 15, actually, whatever. Doesn't matter. Just let it keep running. Alright. So, I read, before I got into the New Testament, at the age of 11, I started reading the book of Genesis onto the book of Numbers.
Right.
In a regular Christian translation. And even though it was a Christian translation, I noticed some things there right off the bat that were very different from what I was noticing everybody doing as well.
Right.
Which is, it says over and over again that God commanded such and such commandment as a perpetual commandment to be kept in all of your generations. Some places it says an eternal commandment, some places it says an everlasting commandment. It all depends on the translation.
They say they're making him look like a liar.
So what?
They're making him look like a liar.
This is in the Old Testament.
No, I'm saying they're making the new ones make him look like a liar.
Right. But basically when I noticed this, I just kind of set it aside because it's like so different from what is everybody doing. Right. So I'm just kind of waiting for like a better explanation to come that'll make everything make sense.
Right.
And basically, you're sure that never happened.
It's sensible. No, it's a way for like, can't just like, you know, if you have like a problem, alright, problems happen.
Right.
You can't like just basically throw everything overboard.
So you hear that, Christians? I didn't leap to conclusions. I waited a long time, relatively speaking.
There's no one there but David.
David. Such Jewish names. Okay. So back to the New Testament. Basically, the way I became unconvinced of Christianity is a slower process. I actually became convinced even of the oral law before I was unconvinced of the messiahship.
That's unusual because most Christians I know they go crazy with the oral law. They love to quote things out of context.
Right.
And then I get tripped out because I tried to defend something that they misquoted. So then I successfully defend it, feel like a jerk doing it because there's something about. For example, they'll quote that thing where like a 3-year-old who gets
that whole
pedophile thing. Right, the pedophile thing. They don't bother to explain to you what that whole chapter is about whether
and the key terminology.
What they're actually talking about is whether she can be regarded as a virgin when she does get married at 20.
Right.
And they make it look at that. So then once we got to one of those arguments, I was like, okay, so somehow I have to basically defend pedophilia here. And I feel like a complete jackass doing it.
You don't have to defend pedophilia.
It doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't even work. The arguments make it make sense. And I basically throw my hands up. Then I find out later that they lied to me and tricked me. And not only did they not, they basically just, you know...
The anti-Talmudic people, he's not talking about Jews.
No, because what happens then, they don't even realize what they're doing.
Right.
They think they're actually advancing themselves. Now what they basically do is they make me so it comes to the point where I just don't trust anything that comes out of their mouth.
Right.
And I'll say, okay, well, let me just think about that for the next
And they quote totally made up quotes from the Talmud also.
Right, so like, at this point, I don't even bother giving them any credit anymore.
Sometimes they quote things that are based on the Talmud, but they twisted the translation. So sometimes there is some place to where you can understand that they need an explanation.
Well, it depends who you talk about. If you're talking about someone who's like not that clever, then you can give him the benefit of the doubt, because you can assume that he just didn't get it right, or someone tricked him. But if you're dealing with someone who's clever and he just translates it, hell, that son of a bitch, man.
Or these kinds of people that just take a whole list and just spam
they know that. They know that.
Right.
They do it intentionally.
Right.
And like then you start to wonder, what's going on with a guy like that?
I mean, like hatred.
Yeah, like what is it like? What, he just despises the word of God? Is that it? All right, fine, you hate me, it's fine. Hey, dude, I kind of hate me too. I mean, I totally hear it. But I mean, like, why are you dismantling the word of God?
Right.
I mean, you're not even attacking me.
Right.
I didn't write this book. You know, this is the word of God. So obviously, you must hate God.
Before attacking the Talmud, they need to...
No, I mean, you can attack the Talmud, but attack it on what it says.
Right.
Don't make stuff up.